Hello and welcome. This is the Marketplace. On the program, we're going to actually talk about trends and investment and how business development across the globe is impacting your business activities here in Ghana and on the continent of Africa. My name is John Kojo. I'm working on the program today. Ghana Gas not to process some volumes of gas from the Sankofa fields offshore Cape 3 Point. To be finding out why and what exactly is accounting for that. And also here on the program, Chamber of Petroleum Consumers is demanding a 7% reduction in fuel prices in the country, citing the reduction of prices on the world market, among other factors, as the reason for these reductions that they are expecting. So we'll be interrogating this particular subject further as to what reasons they are ascribing to this particular reduction they are proposing, and is the 7% feasible? All these and more bringing you here on the Marketplace. You can actually get interactive with us. Our Twitter handle is Joy Business GH, and on Facebook we are at Joy Business. For more business stories, you can also log on to myjoyonline.com/business. Once again, my name is John Kojo Amwako. Marketplace returns right after this break. You're welcome back. And in our first story, the country's Sankofa fields in the tunnel basin of the West Cape 3 Point is on track to deliver first oil in August 2017 and first gas in February 2018 to augment thermal power generation here in Ghana. But according to the Ghana Gas, it will not process gas from the Sankofa fields. In an interview with Joy Business, communication manager of the Ghana Gas, Alfred Ogbami, we spoke to Joy Business and said that the processing facility will not be able to handle the volumes of the gas from the fields.
Sankofa has a higher capacity than even our plant, and there's a plan for Sankofa to have its own plant, which even has a higher processing capacity than the Petroleum Gas processing plant. You know, the ENI Sankofa project is supposed to have its own plant, which will be higher in terms of its ability to process gas than what we have at the moment. So really, their gas will need to go through our pipeline. And if it has to go through, there would have to be an enhancement. But I do not think that we have worries there. We have some time for both the development of the field as well as the development of the onshore processing facility. The projection now is not for the Petroleum Gas processing to handle the gas from Sankofa. Of course, we'll be handling the gas from the 10th field and the Jubilee field.
In our other story, the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers is demanding a 7% reduction in the prices of oil here in the country, citing the reduction of international crude prices as one of the major factors of their request. According to the Chamber, the persistent decline of crude prices at the world market over the past 2 weeks makes it necessary for the reduction of prices on the local market. Let's get some more perspective on this particular. I do have Mr. Duncan Amwa, who is the head of the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers in Ghana. Mr. Amwa, you're welcome to the Marketplace.
Thank you, and a good afternoon to your esteemed viewers, listeners.
Good. Last time, you made some predictions that you could not really carry through. This time around, you're suggesting 7% reduction of prices of petroleum products here in Ghana. What is your base, or what are the bases for this particular assumption that you're making? Is 7% not too much as well, probably?
Very well. In fact, the last we requested was 3%. The market gave us 2%. Wasn't adequate as to what we actually wanted, but we got something. it was better than nothing altogether. And today, based on our calculations and figures from the industry, we believe strongly that we are not only talking about 3% or 2% anymore. We are talking of significant indexes, and it should reflect on the Ghanaian pumps. And clearly, under the regulation, the guiding principle ought to be fairness for both industry and the consumer. So you don't find industry responding to the consumer need, then clearly there's some amount of arbitrariness and fleecing of the Ghanaian.
Before we get to that, can you give us the basis for these proposals you're making? 7%, quite significant, you say. You should not. You must have arrived at that upon some basis. Can you share with us some of those bases? Exactly.
If you take the world market figures or indexes over the past 2 weeks, generally they average $46.02 a barrel. Today, as we speak, is around $44 a barrel, and that's significant from the $50 mark per barrel. And so clearly, if you were even just going by the world market index alone, you will be looking at some reductions of almost 10% from the $50 mark to 44, 45 there. You'll be looking at almost 10-point-something%. But clearly, it will be wrong also to expect to get all the 10% of these petroleum service providers, because the CD within the same time frame, the 2-week period, also lost from 0.76 averagely. So
exactly.
Clearly,
that's the point I wanted to make, because the formula don't only include the world market price, it also sort of factors the performance of the Ghana cedi against the dollar in particular in there. And we do know that the cedi is not doing that well against the dollar, like you just mentioned. So why did you arrive, or how did you arrive at the 7% figure?
Exactly the point. So clearly, we wouldn't also be able to just work with the world market figures, but also take into cognizance the fact that the exchange variances also play a key role in arriving at final pump figures. And that is why I indicated, if you are just looking at the world market figures alone, then Ghanaians should have been expecting something in the region of 10% reduction. But because the cedi also faltered along the way from the 3.89 region to the current 3.94 exchange to a dollar, it is quite clear that the 0.74 decrease in cedi strength should probably take care of the 3% variance that we left off the 10% that would have normally been demanded. So clearly, we believe 7 is very fair. It might not exactly be the 7 from the OMCs, but if they could do the 7, we all have that confidence that indeed they do not right. As and when prices need to go up, sometimes they've gone up in this country beyond 27 times.
Sure.
We think 7 is attainable based on the world market figures and the cedi's performance over the last 2 weeks. We think 7 is really fair, and we are likely to get 7 this time around.
So you think it's fair, and is it feasible? Because you may want something, but as to whether the industry and the regulators will give you what you want is also another thing. So you are thinking, in the event you don't get 7, I think Ghanaians, would you say Ghanaians are therefore being shortchanged?
You see, 7 would be fair. 5 won't be exactly bad.
Okay.
6 won't be as bad either. But if you talk of 7 and you give me something like 2 or 3, then clearly you are insulting all of us and fleecing us needlessly. So we are equally also watching. The last time, like I indicated, we wanted 3% reduction. They gave us 2. We wouldn't say we're very happy or we're okay with that, but at least we got something from a system that probably would have wanted to go to sleep because it's a deregulated market. These industry players have a right to set their own prices.
Okay.
But at whose expense and at what ground rules are they setting those prices? If they would go by these numbers, then we believe it could even be 8% for all of us if they wanted to be fair to all of us. But 7 largely should be fair to all of us.
Finally, when are you expecting these prices to reflect at the pumps?
The current window ends on the 15th, so anytime
which is tomorrow.
Which is tomorrow.
Yes.
So anytime from the 15th, 16th, latest by 17th, I think Ghanaians would want to see the reductions reflect at our pumps. A delay in that, like we saw over the last window, which took most of them about 6-7 days to reduce, what also amounts to some fleeting, because like we have indicated, it is only right that prices go down at this time. As and when they go up, they don't even wait for sometimes a day or two. You go and calculators are already at these filling stations waiting to give you how much you are supposed to pay per what quantity of fuel purchased. Clearly, we shouldn't wait for another 7 days like happened with the current window to see these new reductions reflect at the pumps. We wait to see it by 16th, latest 17th, they should give us some new numbers at the pumps in Ghana.
Okay, we thank you very much, Mr. Duncan Amoah, who is the head of the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers Association here in Ghana. And moving on here on the marketplace, she was on her way to becoming a nun, but as destiny would have it, she is now the CEO of one of Africa's leading food brands. I'm talking about the CEO of food processing and packaging company, Home Foods, Felicia Twumasi. A dream she had in the early 90s has turned her into the owner of this multi-million-dollar firm. She shares her story on the Joy Business Van.
Visionary, principled, formidable, and affable, Felicia Twumasi is CEO and founder of one of Africa's leading food brands, Home Foods, and we take a journey to her home. Felicia's motivation to start her own business began at an early age when she attended a convent school in Elmina in the central region of Ghana.
At the age of 8, I was in charge of the storehouse. I became very independent very early, and the sisters saw in me my competence. And you give me instructions, I'll follow it by letter. And when school reopens, your friends don't turn up, and you ask why daddy died and mommy cannot take care of them. Why not mommy? Mommy is not working. So at that very tender age, just when I told myself I'm going to be independent.
In 1995, on her kitchen table, Felicia decided to set up a food processing and packaging company. Home Foods was born.
With food, whether you are poor or rich, you have to eat. And so I chose food, and I told myself, what do we use in the kitchen every day? And I realized the dynamics of food. Tomatoes you use every day, especially in our society. You use onions every day. You use oil every day. And so I chose that, and I said, no, let me choose oil. So I chose palm oil. Palm oil is very common. You can always, it's available. And on our market, that's when I chose palm oil.
And she certainly didn't get the option wrong. But what would change the future of Home Foods would be a dream she had.
I had a very interesting dream that after a month, I saw containers moving out of a yard. I told the staff, and she started laughing at me. He said, how can it be possible? But I said, it's possible. And so in 1995 was when I got my letters written, and then went to the embassy, and I got one particular importer replying that, yes, we can do business. And he ordered 100 cartons, and it was tough. And I started it in a rented home with one staff and my daughter.
Today, she owns a state-of-the-art factory and exports thousands of cartons of food products, not just processed oil, to Europe, the United States, and some African countries.
I've been listening to you. You seem to be a person full of ideas. And usually you hear people say that, you know, a very good idea is where you need to start a business, but then there's a challenge with finance as well. Was finance ever a challenge for you starting Home Foods?
No. Finance has never been my issue. When I started Home Foods, you know, we are 4 girls and I'm the last one, and they all say mommy likes me very well. But because I was the last one left at home, I became very close with my mom. My mom was my friend. It wasn't my only mom, which was my friend. And whenever you are leaving, mom gave me a trinket. So I sold the trinket. And before she died 2 years ago, she asked me, where is the trinket I gave you? I sold a trinket at that time, made $500. At that time, $500 was the same as 600 Ghana cedis now. It was a lot of money at that time. That's when I started my business with.
The passion of the Harvard Business School graduate and mother of 3 to steer Home Foods to be the multi-million-dollar company that it is has put her on the international spotlight. In May this year, Home Foods was awarded Premium Food Product of the Year at the Africa Brands Leadership Merit Awards in Nigeria. Aside expanding in Ghana, Felicia has got her eyes on Africa.
We've been doing very well in Equatorial Guinea, Gambia, and then Cape Verde. We tried to get into Cape Verde, and now East Africa. But interestingly, when we got into East Africa, most of our food they've never seen before. They've never used palm oil, they never used gari. So I was telling myself, never use agushi, they don't know contonore. In Uganda, I went to Kampala, and I saw a lot of contonore. They don't use it. So they told me it's poisonous. And I said no. So we plan to go there next year and actually establish an office there and teach them how to cook, so we can sell our product. Because you have Nigeria, West Africans, but they are not in numbers. We want to catch the whole East Africa.
Felicia does not only process food, she's got taste for good food as well. That's the show this week. Don't forget to catch the Joy Business Van next week.
So that was Daryl Kwa with that particular report. And we are taking a short break, and Marketplace returns immediately after. You're welcome back. And agriculture has been the backbone of the economy over the years, creating jobs for many Ghanaians and thereby contributing immensely to the country's GDP. The sector has, however, lost this attribute to the services sector in recent years as most farmers continue to undertake subsistence production with little emphasis on commercial production. Analysts and stakeholders, however, believe the sector's agribusiness holds the key to the maximizing of the economic benefits of the sector. But how exactly? Well, Sheila Tamaklo has been exploring ahead of the Joy Business Talk on agribusiness scheduled for next Tuesday, July 19 at the Alisa Hotel here in Accra.
In 2009, the contribution of agriculture to GDP stood at 31.9%, falling to 22% in 2013. Currently, the Ghana Statistical Service puts agri's contribution to GDP to as low as 12.2%. For the first quarter of 2016, it recorded 4,345.5 million Ghana cedi as compared to 1,626.3 million Ghana cedi for the same period in 2009. Its contribution, though high, has recorded some percentage decline. While some believe this poor performance is as a result of a lack of modernization, others say individual subsectors have not done badly, but have only been overtaken by the sectors such as services.
So we are hoping that the businesses will do about 80 containers from here if all goes well. That is what we are saying, that we create a lot of employment because we have 2 shifts running. The packhouse basically, you see here, is Rolls Royce. It does 5 metric tons an hour. So it means for 4 metric tons, for 4 hours, you have 20 metric tons, which is a full container. So for 8 hours, you are doing 2 containers.
He identifies some challenges crop farmers face.
One of our major challenges are fruit flies. And fruit flies is regional issue. Do you understand? And we felt that by now, government should have taken a holistic view in tackling fruit flies as against what we are doing, the farmers themselves are doing on their own.
Livestock is one of the important subsectors that have been virtually overlooked. The livestock subsector contributes to the economy in many ways, even though its contribution to the GDP and food intake for the population are relatively low as compared to the crop subsector. The poultry industry is a component of the livestock sector, which has not been given adequate attention over the years.
They dump their poultry products here.
Francis Hammond is a former CEO of the Ghana Poultry Farmers Association.
If you talk about poultry, let's get to the basic. We are talking about DOT chicks, which is imported. So from the word go, you are importing a day-old chick, which will be far higher in cost to anybody in any of those countries that we are referring to. You know, once you import it to Ghana, the unit cost plus other charges, you know, so you start. So definitely, by the time, no matter how efficient you are, the price is already gone up.
In the past few years, successive governments have implemented several policies to boost agriculture. These have, however, yielded limited results. Agric Information and Communication Service provider ISOCO thinks that low agric productivity levels are largely as a result of over-reliance on the weather.
We are depending on the rainfall to survive. So if there's any change in rainfall, there's definitely a change in our productivity, which will affect the people in the country. In terms of the climate change, we only have to make our irrigation facilities viable. If our irrigation facilities are down, we will not be able to do it.
So what are some major policies that government has taken to boost and turn around the fortunes of the agriculture sector?
If we want to take the whole agri sector, I always look at it that the challenge is not from one particular person. It's not from the government alone. It's not from the farmer alone. It's not from the bankers alone. It's the whole chain needs to be tackled. And if we have to tackle it, then the government has to look at which area will create a rippling effect, which area will create the pull in the system. That when we tackle this area, it will affect the other services. But you cannot blame it solely on the government doorstep, or solely on the banking doorstep, or solely on the production doorstep. Each and every sector have its challenge, and we need to solve them holistically.
We have to go back and find out what can we do better in Ghana to reduce our costs. We must invest more into maize production. We must invest more into soya production. We must invest more into aquaculture. If we are able to do it well, and these things are not short-term investments, they are long-term investments.
If successive government thinks Agric is a backbone of the country, Agricultural Development Bank is basically owned by government. What prevents government from recycling their dividend at the end of the year for farmers as a soft loan?
It is still believed that agriculture remains the best means of alleviating poverty and hunger in Ghana. Therefore, government must channel resources into developing the agricultural sector to make it more productive and profitable for the larger economy.
And that was a report filed by Sheila Tamaklo of our business desk. Now, Joy Business, in partnership with Busy, will be holding a discussion on transforming Ghana agribusiness to the rescue. We will be asking, will the business of agriculture deliver the aspirations of transforming the country of Ghana? On the panel are Dr. Alhassan Ahmed Yakubu, Deputy Minister of Food and Agriculture, Salom Abrantier of Pedigree, and David Esiama, agronomist and Dr. Charles Totoy of the CSIR and the African Center for Economic Transformation. Join us at the Alisa Hotel on July 19, 2016, and time is exactly 5 p.m. I mean, almost all these things, we're looking at that here in Accra. So that'll be it for the marketplace. And my name is John Kojo Amwako. But for your interactive sessions, you can join us on our social media platform, one of which is our Twitter, and our handle is Joy Business GH. And on Facebook, it is Joy Business. For more, you can log on to myjoyonline.com. Have a very good afternoon.